She was little once, small in stature, with a mighty soul. She danced, twirled and jumped, swung and sang. There was fire in her eyes. She wore no shoes on her feet. Golden hair shimmered as she swayed. The sun rays kissed her freckled cheeks. A soft summer breeze wrapped all around her, tickling her skin, enveloping her. She cherished Mother Nature's sweet embrace, for she knew no other. Wrapped in its infinite hum, she found solace. She read books meant for much older people, played piano by ear, also guitar, sang songs about blue skies and black birds, and at 4 o'clock every day after his work, she climbed up onto her father's knee, shared a sandwich from his lunchbox, smelled his oily, smoky daddy smell. He read to her from the paper, like familiar old friends. The words jumped out at her. She knew them and spoke their name out loud excitedly, as if to greet them. Her mummy rolled her eyes and shushed her chatterbox mouth. Her father said nothing. She snuck her bag full of books and old annuals, only 3 years old, spoke words she shouldn't know, but somehow did. She used words so eloquently, so confidently, conversed with adults, preferably, debating and challenging the unjust nonsense they spouted to their children. Questions, questions, questions. Always questions, seeking more information, offering unwanted opinions, a perpetual quest for details, explanations, justifications. There was no Google then, no Alexa, no technological oracle with a bottomless well of wisdom to draw from. The girl was most often shoved away in annoyance, immediately shushed by her mother to be quiet, because she sounded not right in her head. She told them anyway. Do you know rivers on maps, circulatory systems in the biology books at school, leaves, dragonfly wings, tree branches, roots, fish fins, veins on Granny's hands, tiny ripples on the sand as the tide went out. All the same, she would explain. Why are we made all the same? Her mother shut her away in her den, under the stairs, in the dark. Her father said nothing, did nothing, but later snuck her a torch and a bag full of books called encyclopedias. They were heavy. They hummed strongly, and the hum felt, tasted, smelled strange, like copper and rot, like death had touched them. Books about every single thing ever, even books about how Mother Nature made the weather. The girl would ask her books questions and spoke out loud to them, thanking them for their help, arranging them carefully, offering hours of rapacious ritual for fear of angering them if their placement was not exact. I don't want my books to get angry. The girl got promptly shushed. You're not right. Why do you always do this? Refusing to bow down and accept blame and punishment for crimes that were never hers, pointing out where things went wrong, foretelling where things would eventually go wrong. She saw patterns everywhere. They made her tummy lurch and her head spin when her opinions came true. Effusively, the girl exclaimed, "See? See?" Only to be left with deep black and blue reminders of her defiance and disrespect, dappling her tiny body. Her joints burned and ached, skin burning fiercely, the old taste of 2p on her tongue. She refused to cower. She refused to comply. She refused to confess. Her steadfast determination to mask her pain, her deadpan face, pale as ivory, wide accusatory eyes, locked on her attacker, never wavering, and with fearless courage she gazed deep into the abyss, and the abyss gazed back at her, hateful, spiteful, accusing. Stripping back the layers of pain, purple, painful, stepping stones, mapping the frenzied journey of a mother's rage, and in the early hours her mother would wake her, and whilst in a haze of half-sleep and not quiet, her mother would cry noisily, that same way, woo, 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 a banshee's cry. She would say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, over and over and over. The girl, bewildered, heart aching, herself splitting, core cracking in confusion, would pat and rub her mother's back and tell her she was a good mummy, not a bad mummy. As her mother hugged her, she felt long nails rake her back and dig into her shoulder. The girl smiled contently, for pain was all she knew of human love, thinking all mothers must all love this way. She accepted it eagerly. She was only 4, only on earth 4 summers, 4 winters, 48 moons old, only 4, with a lion's heart and a lion's roar. She walked around like she owned the whole world, fearless, courageous, tempestuous, a tsunami of emotions, and she captivated hearts, rooms. All who saw her smiled a little wider. Her gift of laughter, she lit up the room, and people remarked upon how beautiful she was, inside and out. If only you could bottle her, you'd make a fortune. With her gentle green-blue eyes, ever-changing, multifaceted orbs of purity, honesty, loyalty, respect. She exuded unconditional love, yet there were no friends around her to bless her life in the playful way that friends do. Small, usual flecks of amber dotted within. She gazed into your very soul, weighed you up, sussed you out. Triage, red, amber, green. She always hit the nail right on the head. She saw the future, predicted which way cars would turn, guessing how the dice would fall, giggling, guessing shapes. What card was then? She saw patterns flash in her mind, like an architect unfolding intricately designed blueprints and complex maps of stars and planets, galaxies far, far beyond what was already known. In restless daydreams, she saw hum vibrating within auras. She saw strands of time entwined like rope, so close together, each invisible to the other, each playing out the same scenario. Hundreds of me's, hundreds of you's, hundreds of them's. Lightning quick, quicker than her heartbeat, twice as quick. Mother would find her in the garden, laid on her back, 1,000-yard stare, mouth agape, a silent scream, hands splayed, locked in place, eyes wide and unblinking, flickering ever so slightly. As information engulfed her mind, too much, too much. She felt everything. She felt nothing. Far, far away. She knew. She always knew. She knew when the rain would come. She knew when the ewes would drop their lambs. Worked alongside the shepherds during the lambing time, day or night, wind, rain, snow. She knelt down in the hay to lay a little hand on swollen bellies, feeling the hum of new life inside, knowing when, knowing sadly when not. She knew in her heart when spring was here. She knew when people were sad, or in pain, or poorly. She could smell poorly, like plastic burning, sweet, acrid. She knew jealousy. She knew resentment. She knew of death, had felt its hum, and found it to be most patient, gentle, fair, compassionate, very kind. The girl did not understand why humans feared him so and avoided him at all cost. Many, many times she hoped that death would take her. As the hungry monsters fell upon her, feasting greedily upon her childhood, consuming her, afterwards she lay alone, used up, cast aside, raw, bloody, sticky with shame. She would summon death with a silent scream. It heard her call its name, but would only linger on the threshold of her bedroom door. Shadows gathered in the corners. She knew death wanted her, yet it hesitated, whispering, "Not yet, child, not yet." As if her secret routines and rituals, repeated for hours, kept him at bay like it did the Shadow Man. The girl heard him knock politely at first. 3 taps, 7 seconds. 3 taps, 7 seconds. 3 taps, 7 seconds. Then a claw in a soundless frenzy at her bedroom door, opening for hours, spitting and frothing with rage as her invisible barrier held fast. A desperate attempt to build a force field, some place of safety, a fortress of protection around what was left of her. You were just dreaming. Her father said it softly, yet he gave her a tiny little radio to put under her pillow at night that smelled funny, and nailed a special horseshoe above her bedroom door, and it helped. She often knew when people were dying, and would tell them, "Don't be scared. It's okay. It really is okay. You'll feel so much better. You won't feel sad. You won't miss anyone or worry." She knew the silent suffering of others. She would sing for them her nightingale song, her soft, shimmering hair, long like spun gold, do silly things that made them laugh, and, swathed in shadows, wrapped within the illusion of trust, biding their time, patient, oh, so very, very patient, stalking delicious prey, they drank her in, bathed in her light, and wanted more. All that was beautiful in her world fell away, and the real monsters came to play. They came first with gentle hands, played games, made no demands. Then gentle hands became rough and sore, turned a beautiful soul to a broken whore. And she knew, like she always knew, that her mother, lips curled in a rictus grin, eyes narrowed, had invited them in, and sat like a queen on her throne, looking down from afar, from her front row seat, was complicit in her eventual and complete obliteration. As the autumn leaves fell without a sound, her hopes, her dreams, her soul, her very self, fell with them. Shards of her still littered the ground. A winter invaded the land, ground icy, unyielding, unforgiving, hard, cold. She felt her heart hardening, cracking, breaking, and she welcomed the rough hands, welcomed the pain it caused through the fibers of her being. If her pain was audible, it would sound like a badly played violin, carving shards from her very soul. Fragile fragments littered her mind as it cut her into pieces. The girl invited it, embraced it, accepted it. All she was, all she had been, all she might ever be, was shrouded in gray mists, tied tight with ribbons of red pain, and stored away in the deepest, furthest recesses of her core. And new Bevs came, each their own, each with purpose to protect at all cost, even if the cost was great, as sadly it often was. Protect the core, gather up, sweep and scoop the shattered shards of what remains, and try over and over to build a person that might feel and live and love. Decades later, a broken old woman with the eyes of a young girl sat in a mental health facility, awaiting trauma processing therapy. The shadows in her mind held sway in anticipation, licking its lips, gnashing its teeth, hungry for the delicious taste of pain. And, long forgotten by the girl, in the furthest recesses of her mind, was the very epitome of Pandora's box. In a leather-bound book named Suffering, her childhood sat, waiting. You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.